What are the most effective marketing tools? So just to get, for those of you who are not familiar with this, what we do is we ask the managing partners to grade on a scale of 1 to 12 the most effective and the least effective marketing tools, with 1 being most effective, 12 least effective. Okay, so in 2013, the top vote getters were branding, firm website, and entertaining. But for this past year, cold calling, and what I was really going to write was WTF, but I don't know if that would be considered unprofessional. But that's what I was going to, what the? Cold calling, branding, firm website, and advertising and entertaining. Now, this is where I'll come in with the interactions with the GCs. I don't know a single GC who wants to get cold called. I mean, I don't. That just shocks me. I mean, they hate that. They hate, in terms of I would even call some forms of cross-selling they view as cold calling, which is, hi, I'm handling this litigation matter, but I know you've got, offices in New York, and I've got a tax partner in New York. Would you care to talk to them? Like, they hate that. That was one of the examples they cited as sort of the cross-selling they hate. I don't know I don't see how that could possibly ever work. And so that's why I do view this a little bit skeptical, with a skeptical eye when I'm going through this. So that's why, and I did this last year, what I do is I look cumulatively of, over the top, over from 1 to 3, what are the ones garnering the most interest and cited as the most successful marketing tools? And I think that's a little bit more of a clear indication of what you should be going by. So if you look at cumulatively what marketing tools got the most scores between 1 and 3, the picture changes. So seminars and brandings were tied at the top with 48.1% giving it either a 1 or a 3. And then you've got websites were second with 40%. Cold calling was third with 38.4%. But again, what the hell? But, again, I actually would use a different word. But part of that, though, I got to tell you, though, it's skewed because it was so far and away the number one cited reason, which just blows me away. So it really didn't get a lot of other good scores. And if you look in terms of what were the least effective, as you'll see down before, if cumulatively the least effective, cold calling by far and away got the most votes. So my takeaway from that is I don't know who was saying that, but you guys might want to have a talk with those partners, And just looking at last year, so if you look at this year, if you look cumulatively, what was seen as the most effective tools? Seminars, branding, website, client surveys. Let's be real. In 2013, the order was seminars, website, client surveys, and entertainment. In terms of what are least effective, cold calling was considered the least effective. Branding was second, though. And then, in 2013, client surveys received the most scores, most negative scores, and then it was followed by entertaining and charitable involvement. Now, note on client surveys. I keep saying this, and I'm not a consultant. I don't have any skin in this game, but every consultant you talk to, and you talk to GCs, let me backtrack. GCs at least have expressed they want to give their firms feedback. They want to be asked about what's going well, what isn't going well. They want their fears, their concerns, what they're happy about, what they're not happy about, understood by the firms. I know that I've gotten anecdotally from some people in law firms tell me, hey, look, we tried to survey the client and they don't want to be bothered. And they may, hey, look, there's what people say and what people do. But having said that, Pennsylvania firms, and I don't know how this compares nationally, and Gina, I don't know if we have any data on how many firms conduct client surveys, but every consultant you talk to says this is a huge mistake. And I would tell you so in terms of my GC interaction, we're talking about probably like 5 or 6, outside of our annual GC breakfast, we're talking about 5 or 6 GC forums where I'm in a room where anywhere from 6 to 13 GCs, a lot of them at billion-dollar companies, getting off the record honest feedback from them. And, it's clear to me from listening to this, maybe they're just grousing, but I don't get that sense. They weren't just, for lack of a better word, they weren't just bitching. They were talking about disconnects between communicating with their firms and themselves, and disconnects and miscommunication. And to me, the survey would be just an easy fix, or some version of it. Anyway, 64.3% of the respondents in this survey said they don't use client surveys regularly. In 2013, it was 70%. Since 2011, it's been always over 50% of the survey respondents don't use client surveys regularly. And I'm telling you as somebody who's, again, I'm not a consultant, I don't get paid to do this, I don't do it. I'm telling you from listening to GCs firsthand, I think that's a mistake. Whether you call it a survey, whatever you do, there's got to be some kind of evaluation process, and you got to figure out what the hot spots are, what's working and what isn't working. Because while they may still be loyal to the lawyer, I do get the sense, look, if they're under pricing pressure from their own internal organizations, and if they start to view some of the legal work as more commodity work, why the hell, if they're annoyed, why wouldn't they go? Just think for yourself, a lot of times, why do you switch services? You may be loyal up to a point, but when you suddenly don't think you're getting any response, and look at cable operators and stuff like that. I know I switched because I didn't like the service, the customer service I got. I think this is an opportunity for you guys, however you frame it or do it. I think because to me it's not surveys, it's business intelligence, it's feedback. And the interesting thing that I heard from, and we're probably going to do an article on this, I was talking to one GC from a very, very, very large corporation, and I asked him about client surveys, and he's like, they weren't doing it. So now I give him a review. That's fascinating. Really? He's like, yeah, I bring them all in, I line them up, I sit them down, I tell them this works, this doesn't work. Oh, by the way, we're going to talk price now. Hey, you know what though? If I were GC, that's exactly what I would do. I'd make a review, and I'd take that as an opportunity then, guess what? Now we're going to talk price. Why wouldn't you? You've got leverage now. You got you on the defensive. So and I rarely give advice, and what the hell do I know? But I would just say, based on everything I've read, I've seen, and consider me sort of a, somebody who's curating information in that regard. I just think, if you want to put yourself in a position, great. But to me, if you start getting more proactive with trying to survey your clients or just get their pulse on things, on what's working, not working, and try to address what's not working, you're going to spare yourself this, and you're going to put yourself in a better position when it's time to negotiate price. So just think about that. That's one of my takeaway. Now, because of this group, you guys gave us feedback on some stuff that you wanted us to ask, and so we added questions this year. So one of the new questions was, do managing partners think they get return on investment for their marketing dollars? And so for this year, 71.4% said they provided a clear return on investment, and 28.8% said they didn't. I got to admit, I don't know if that's a good answer or not. Trish, I'll go to you. What do you think? Is that a good answer or a bad answer?
I'm actually surprised it's that high.
That was my takeaway, because I just figure, I think you guys are in a tough spot sometimes dealing with managing partners. Or just in firm leadership in general. I think there's the perception I hear from people is that firms know they need to market, they don't always know how to, and they second guess a lot. So I took that was my takeaway. I thought that was a positive sign, but I'll leave it to you guys if you think it's good or not. It's something to keep in mind.
But for next year, since you called
it was really one question though.
One of my favorite responses is, well, the seminar was well received, the sponsorship was well received, the donation was well received, I was well received. What does that mean? Did you get work? Did you not get work? So the whole what's the most effective marketing tools responses from managing partners are far less interesting to me than responses from GCs. That would be more meaningful, I think.
Got it.
These are kind of fun to look at, but in the end, it's the GCs who matter. So hearing about client surveys or whatever is more relevant.
Got it. And then in terms of, we were asked to find out, like in terms of branding, well, what do they mean by that? What matters to them in terms of branding? So in terms of subsets of branding, institutional awareness within the marketplace was seen as the most important form of branding, with 70.4% citing that, and it was followed by thought leadership recognition at 22.2%.